What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. I hope you guys who are watching on YouTube don't mind me filming this in a tank top. This is my everyday outfit. Wake up, I go to the gym, I come home, I put in the work, but I don't bother putting on a nice button up because when I work for myself, I get to make my own rules and I like hanging out in a tank top all day. So this is what you guys get. But in today's episode, what we're going to talk about is something called the 7-hour rule. And this is a concept that I learned from Ravi Avivala. And honestly, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But when you break it down and really start to understand the psychology behind it, it's like, duh, it's a no brainer. But I don't see a lot of trainers actually following this rule. I don't see a lot of trainers actually putting in the work to utilize the 7-hour rule. Essentially, what the 7-hour rule is that you need at least 7 hours of content consumed by your prospect in order for them to build trust and increase the chances of them closing, right? And so 7 hours of contact or content from a prospect finding you online to eventually closing and trusting that close. So I see a lot of trainers online go straight to DM to close, straight to DM to close, straight to DM to close. That's like a 15-minute rule, right? And if you're going to be trying to close high ticket anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 per package with fitness coaching with a stranger online, yeah, you're going to be hard pressed to do that. But the more content that you have that your prospect can consume, the more likely they are going to be to trust you. And the quicker that they can do that, the more content that you have for them to consume, the more likely they are for them to trust you. And so I'm going to kind of break down my process and show you guys how it works for me. And then I'm going to talk about what kind of content you guys can create for your own business as well. So when it comes to my content, one of my favorite things is obviously an Instagram post, right? But the Instagram post is easily consumable content. That's like 15-second content. So it really doesn't convert into much, right? Unless you had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts of Instagram posts for people to just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, like 7 hours worth of Instagram posts for them to scroll, not likely. And a lot of you guys aren't posting enough Instagram content to begin with. So Instagram content for me is kind of discoverability, right? It's for people to find me. It's for people to kind of, capture their attention very quickly, but it's not to get them to indoctrinate. It's not to get them to convert or close or anything of the sort. It's just to kind of grab their attention. Now, next thing is a testimonial. I have a lot of testimonials. My testimonials average about 1 to 2 minutes per testimonial. And when clientele watch the testimonial, it is very, very, very trust building. So having a ton of testimonials for your prospects to watch helps convert with the 7-hour rule a ton. So having testimonials, video testimonials for people to watch helps out a ton. I've even had it to where I have people find me with my Instagram post. They come to my Instagram page. They see all of my Instagram testimonials, and then they book a call right then and there because it's so good with building trust that works, right? Another thing I do to build trust is this podcast, right? Or this YouTube channel. Essentially, my idea, well, the goal in the funnel or in that journey is that someone will find me on Instagram, they'll come to my page, they will watch the testimonials and book a call. But in between that call, they're going to start consuming more content. Hey, where else can I find this guy? If I got him booked on a call, where else can I do some research, right? And they're either going to find nothing because you have nothing posted, or they're going to find more, right? And so there's 3 pieces of content that I have for this part of the journey to kind of help them warm up even more. Number 1 is a podcast, right? And they can binge my podcast. My podcasts are 5 to 10 minutes long. They're super easy, but they binge it and they get a ton of content. They can listen to me while they're driving to the car or driving the car, while they're at the gym, while they're cooking dinner. But it's not necessarily what the podcast is on. It's just the fact that they're listening and consuming my content, because by the time they hop on that call, they know who I am and they know who Zach Colburn is, right? Not because I'm some famous special person, but because they spent enough time consuming my content because I had the content out there that was tailored for them. Second thing being this YouTube channel, right? So they can book a call, or even before they book a call, they can look me up on YouTube and find all of the content that I have on YouTube that they can then consume for that 7-hour rule. Now, either they're going to get warmed up and indoctrinated before they get on the call, and they're going to know who I am already. And we're going to spend at least an hour with them on a call, walking them through a program. Or they're going to do it afterwards. right? So we take a 10-minute call, they get to know who I am. And then in between that first call and the second call, they're going to be sent even more content. So what I always do is I send a 30-minute video to their email. It's a private video. It's not on Facebook. It's not on YouTube. It's not on Instagram. You can't find it anywhere. It's only if you get on a sales call. I send them this private video and walks them through our entire process. It tells them who we are, who I am, what the program's about, who we help, what kind of result they're going to get, what our process for building a business looks like. And so they're sitting there and they're consuming more content, understanding a little bit more about our business, right? And so by the time we get to the end of the sales call, we've at least spent hours and hours and hours with them, right? They've had time to consume content. Hell, they might even watch some client case studies and client interviews, success interviews, talking about my client success. And so that way, by the time they get to the end of the sales call and you pitch the program, they're going to be much more likely to close because they've had so much content to consume. Now, I don't even see many trainers putting that much content out. You guys have to be putting out a ton of content, not for the sake that, and you guys, I see this getting backwards all the time. It's not that you're going to create the content and that content is what inspires them to book a call, right? I think that's what people think, right? You create content and that content inspires them to book a call, but it's actually the other way around. They book a call and then they watch the content to get more familiar with you. That is how it should be taken, right? They book a call, then they watch more content to get familiar with you. But if you don't have that content for them to be familiar with, you're going to be missing out on a ton of trust building that is absolutely essential to the close. The other thing I do too is that even after a strategy call, an hour-long sales call, I will send them even more information to more content like this, more content like, you know, in between, maybe some content that's going to push them over the edge, right? So I have a couple podcast episodes that are like, hey, here's what happened if you don't invest, or here's kind of what you're missing out on if you don't invest. And I'll send that to them, right? Which is more the 7-hour rule, but it's also content that's going to help them get pushed over the edge in between a sales follow-up call. But you have to realize that in between those 3 calls, they're getting a ton of content that's not meant for them to convert, but it's meant for them to be familiar. So some of the pieces of content that I want you guys to start creating is Instagram posts, of course, showing up in your stories a little bit more. Client testimonials is a huge one. Client success interviews, like case studies. You guys will start seeing more of these on my YouTube channel and on my podcast as we grow. And then also just any tips or tricks that you can use in a long form content. Start filming YouTube videos, start creating podcasts, start, going live on IG, but start actually creating more long digestible content because that's going to be huge for building trust. But that's one of the big tips that I learned from Miami, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.